Hey friends, this is Jake, and today I want to talk to you about how you can talk about mental health with your family. I think there's one thing that most of us can agree with is that mental health stigma is a pretty serious thing. Whether it comes from barriers that you believe are with yourself, things that you internalize, or barriers out there in the world that stop you from seeking help. But when it comes to family, that's another barrier when it comes to mental health. Probably some of the biggest barriers for people because so many things are involved and intertwined when it comes with family. I work with enough families to know that talking about mental health between family members and as a whole family unit is not an easy walk in the park. Some families, there might be a head of household who will think, you don't need therapy, you don't need advice or anything like that. Keep it in the family. You might have other family members that want to keep it a secret of what's going on within the family out of respect or out of embarrassment or out of humility. Some families that may not even believe in the idea of mental health. Going and seeing your medical doctor, your primary care physician is good enough. You broke your foot, get it fixed. But if there's something going on in the brain and that it can also be affecting our body, that's not real, right? What makes one think, how do I even get started? What would I even say? Can I even say anything? This video is not to tell you what you should or shouldn't do. My family is going to be different from your family, and then your family is going to be different from someone else's family. And because there are unique features within yourself and with each of your family members, your cultural upbringing, your history, it's good to bear all that in mind when you think about, is this something I want to move forward with? Some people can effectively say yes. I can move forward with this, I'm confident in it, but there are a large group of people who say, no, I can never do something like that. I don't think I can. It's disrespectful, it goes against everything my family might believe in, it goes against everything I might believe in when it comes to being vulnerable with things like that. I may not even want to share. So just take this video as a grain of salt, as it could give you some idea about a direction that you may decide in the near future. So the very first thing I want to share with you when it comes to sharing mental health with family is make it a dialogue. There's been plenty of times where I've worked with families or have even sat down and watched families interact, and a lot of the times when mental health is brought up, it's a matter of who can be heard the most. This isn't always the case, but this is just something, again, to bear in mind. Making it a dialogue means expressing what you've noticed when it comes to your own thoughts, mental health, or maybe even starting on something that's so far from you that your family won't even think that it has anything to do with you. I tell most of my clients to start small when it comes to introduction of mental health and what they experience. They don't have to talk about what they're going through per se. It's a safety thing. At least that's what my clients share with me. So when you're at the dinner table or where everyone maybe resides and talks, or maybe if you have a game night, or maybe you're just talking with one family member or a sibling, maybe just bring up mental health or somewhere nearby, but it doesn't necessarily have to be about what you're exactly going through. Not just yet. The way you can test the waters and see how others in your household perceive mental health. And then from there, you can think about and filter, okay, how do I then bring myself into it? Can I? Is it safe enough? Do I feel secure enough? Is this something that I can even attempt to do? Back to the idea of making a dialogue. Think about it. Monologue is when one person is sharing and everyone else is listening. That's not a dialogue. Dialogue is when one person shares, others listen, and then they respond, you listen, and then you respond. At least that's what a healthy dialogue can look like. So again, test the waters by just bringing in the idea of mental health. See how others perceive it, and you might be surprised at what they might say. They might say that they're going through something, which is your doorway and opportunity to slide in what your experience is. This isn't always the case, but in cases that it is, that could be a good bridge to connect you and other family members. Going into the next portion of this, if you and your family already have an idea or understanding of mental health and you feel comfortable enough to discuss a little bit about it, such as maybe an issue or a problem that you're experiencing, be ready for others to try to fix your problem. We have advice, don't we? Unsolicited, solicited. Therapists give advice, right? Wrong, and I'm going to make a video about that, but not yet. People like to share their ideas for the purpose of helping other people. Sometimes it's to help themselves, but when it comes to people sharing things with you, people like to share their ideas and advice with other people, especially family members, for the purpose of helping them. So be ready. If you share mental health difficulties, family members might want to jump on in urgency to fix that problem quickly. In that case, you can just try to soak in the information or even share with them, you know, I really appreciate this, but I'm thinking maybe I have to go see a professional for this. Again, murky territory, but it's up to you how you respond. See how your family responds first when you bring it up. And if they try to jump on on, you're thinking nothing's working, maybe that's when you can bring in the idea of, I was thinking of seeing a professional. I heard about so-and-so. What do you think about that? Another thing I want you to keep in mind for the third portion of this is culture. Now, culture is defined in so many different forms and facets, and so each family will bring forth its own culture and how you develop and understand the world when you grow up. Being a family where mental health is completely disregarded, completely accepted, somewhere in between, it could be perceived as disrespectful to ask for help from outside your house, or there might be rules attached to it, such as don't talk about family, or don't talk about this, keep it indoors, talk about stuff outside of this. So that's just something good to bear in mind, but I'm pretty sure you already knew that. So this is just, again, a reminder that your own culture could be a barrier, or it could be a doorway, an opportunity for you to start developing this new culture that mental health can be a part of physical health, can be a part of the family, can be a part of just what you're experiencing in your life. And remember, you know your family best, and I don't know your experiences. You definitely know yours, and you may know what your family can or can't handle. But again, this is you trying to bridge a gap and trying to introduce mental health to your family and how you experience it, how you notice it, and it could be a good thing. This portion of this is to share what you need. Going back to the first point of making things a dialogue, that is the first step in trying to understand one another. It might be difficult because some ideas might sound louder than others or stronger, or there might be a respect thing going on between family members. But during the dialogue, that is when sharing what you need and being direct can also come into play, such as, this was really hard for me to bring up. I appreciate that we've just been keeping it going. I've got to be honest, I experience X, Y, and Z, and I'm thinking about asking for help. I've been struggling with developing friends. I feel isolated when I'm at school. There is a professional who works on campus and all the students see them. Here it's great. What do you think about that? You can expect a little bit of backlash when it comes to bringing this into family, because there is this ongoing assumption, especially when I work with individuals such as, my parents told me not to tell you X, Y, and Z because they're afraid you're going to think ill of them. I don't even know them. How can I? And that's what I share with my clients. But that is to provide a cushion of relief and also to decrease the stigma for even families that think, oh, professionals just talk about us and gossip about whatever's going on in the household, when that's just not how I do it in my own practice with my clients, bashing other members who aren't even there. Sharing what you need can be another level of exhaustion because it's scary to even think about that, especially if there is some fragility going on and fear of humility in that portion of trying to interact with your family. It's scary. I get it. So something like this is going to take time, not just one attempt, but probably multiple. After, when you share something directly, see what you can to take some feedback. It might be nerve-wracking for families to hear what's going on in your life. They may not even know about it because everything happens in the mind. Sure, it shows up behaviorally sometimes, but a lot of us are pretty good at covering things up, especially when it comes to mental health. See what you can to see what they think and feel about what you're saying to them, what you're sharing to them. You might bridge some good conversations. It might bridge some really tough conversations that may not connect at first. This is what we call a negotiation. Sharing what you need, they share what they need from you, and seeing if there's this ongoing negotiation. You share, I need patience with this. I need your help when it comes with patience with this. And they can share with you, I need patience from you because I feel like I'm the problem causing this. You never really know where these conversations can lead. Ultimately, you want to make sure that when you have these conversations, you're looking at your culture, you're looking at your upbringing, you're looking at what is and isn't allowed, you're looking at the unspoken rules, because you might be breaking barriers here. You might be bending the rules that are unsaid. Is that okay? It's up to you and the family unit. Is it worthwhile for you? Is it worth it? You know your family best. And there might be some areas that you just don't know completely yet, like their understanding of mental health or what you're going through. But sometimes when you share that you are struggling with something that's just so far outside of the family, it's something that's very internal, it's easier for people not to take too much offense to that because it's something you are responding to. And sure, and it does sometimes come from the environment, it does sometimes come from family members, but you're complex. It comes from a lot of other things too. Start there. And if it's the case that there are some difficulties in the family, try to just focus on what you're struggling with first, because it's hard for others to see what they're struggling with. Because when you focus on yourself and when you experience, it's easier for people to listen to because it's as if they're not taking offense to it. There's nothing to be defensive about. The moment that you share, you did this to me and it made me feel X, Y, and Z, that you word does something for people, puts up a wall of defense to protect themselves, and then we'll protect ourselves. And then the truth and honesty component in the conversation kind of dwindles and dies from there. Not all the time, but I've seen it enough where using the word you is like pointing your finger and poking someone's chest as if it's completely their fault. Bear that in mind with all these tips I'm sharing with you when you're trying to introduce mental health and talking about it with family members. Heck, I'll give you an extra tip. I've worked with enough families to notice that there are some siblings that do stay well connected in the family, enough where they can share mental health difficulties with one another before sharing it with everyone else in the family. If that's the case for you, where you have a sibling that you can share this information with, practice more often with them. Even share with them that you're thinking about sharing this with other people in your family because you're trying to gain that support. That's the point of all this, right? Understanding, support, respect. But see what you can do to connect with that one member that might understand you, where you have a feeling they might get me. This may not always hit home for people, and it's going to be difficult to understand that. The goal is to be understood, but you may not be understood from the get-go. You may not be understood tomorrow or the next day. You're introducing something that might be so new to some family members or so scary because it brings up a lot of things, stigma included. So bear that in mind if you're thinking about sharing some things with your family or talking about mental health. The good thing is that once you get the ball rolling, your family might understand over time where you are in life. They'll see that you might be working with a professional. They'll see that you're trying to better yourself mentally, and they might see your behaviors and thoughts and moods change because of that. And they might scratch their head and wonder, what are they doing to better themselves? And believe it or not, you're very brave, whoever you are out there, to do this, because it takes a very brave person to do what you want to do if you're watching this video. Share something so heavy with family that you're uncertain if they're going to take it well or not. Again, take this with a grain of salt, but if you made it this far in this video, I hope this video can give you some sort of idea, be a pinch of motivation to go to the direction that you want to go, because ultimately you might be doing this to get some support, you might be doing this to have some sort of understanding, you might be doing this because you're really going through a tough time. You know you best, you know your family best, you know your cultural upbringing best, and see what you can do to introduce this in the easiest way that you think you can, and how others can try to hear you out when it comes to your own mental health. It's not very easy to discuss mental health stigma or difficulties when it comes to family sometimes, and it's all dependent on culture and upbringing and what the family belief system is and all the unspoken rules that are involved with that. Who knows? Maybe you're going to be starting a new culture within your family when it comes to adding a segment of mental health to all the other things that make you so unique. And maybe this is something that you're going to be changing and challenging other people in your household, changing minds and setting forward new ideas for prosperity, to have mental health development, to have family growth, healthier relationships. You never really know. It's endless when it comes to the opportunities with something like this. And it's up to you to decide, is this well worth it? Am I safe and secure to do this? Can I try this? Will others be on board? I don't know, but is it worth it? It's up to you. But I wish you well in your journey. Take good care of yourself. I wish you luck in your journey when it comes to sharing this with your family regarding mental health. And remember, take care.